if it's Tuesday, wherever in the world you're watching this from. It's great to be with you. Today, we're going to talk about winners. Yes. And when people win, what happens? Yes! There are applauses, there's whistling, there's cheering. And then we're going to talk about what does it feel like to lose? What does it feel like to lose? And when we lose, how you, Sonia? Good morning to you. There's no fanfare. Let me tell you when we are losing. So winning and losing, right? I'm really not talking about are you a winner or are you a loser. I'm really talking about relationships of any kind, right? Personal or professional. Do you have a sense that you are winning in that relationship, or do you have a sense that you are losing in that relationship? That's the question. That's the question. So, a couple of thoughts before we dive in. Number uno is say hello. Do not leave me on here totally alone. If you'd be so kind, just say how are you? How are you? In the chat, and let me know where you're watching from. That's number one. Number two is if you are on Facebook, I think that's the only one on the pages or on the groups. You'll see like a ticket strolling across the bottom, and it's basically just inviting you, hey, jump into our free Live, Love, Lead with Kevin Daly group on Facebook. We'd love to have you jump in there. And so that's the second thing. Would be thrilled to have you in there. And so let's just do this. Let's jump in. All right. Let's talk about winning and the experience of winning in relationship or losing in relationship, right? So in relationship, either personal or professional, it's either you have the experience of winning and the other has the experience of winning, or you have the experience of losing, the other has the experience of losing, or you have the experience of losing and the other has the experience of winning. That's kind of how it breaks down. The goal in relationship is that you both win. And so how do we pull that off? Right? How do we pull off win-wins? Most people would probably confess, if they were being honest, I want to win. I want to win. I want my way. If they're being honest, most people are going to say, I want to win. I want my way. Can I get a witness? You know, can I get a witness from you? Let me know. You rather win or you rather lose in relationship? Would you rather win or would you rather lose in relationship? That's my question for you. So the next thought that I have is not just would you rather win or would you rather lose, right? But when it comes to shooting for a win-win, the first step, all right? Step number one. Ready for it? In your, if the goal, that's quite a bright highlighter, isn't it? If the goal is, to win, right? That's what we're shooting for, right? Winning together as opposed to win-lose. Because here's the deal. You either win or you lose as a team. You either win or you lose as a team. There is no such thing as a win-lose. I mean, there is experientially, but the reality is that if you feel like you're winning, but they feel like they're losing, you're losing, and it's only a matter of time before you find out. And you've all experienced that. I mean, you've experienced that. I'm just talking to you. I'm talking to you right now. You've experienced that. having won, having gotten your way, having had the other person agree with you. What's that old phrase? A person convinced against their will is of their same opinion still. So, number one is commit to a no losers policy. That's number one. Commit to a no losers policy. Now, let me ask you a question. How often, you don't have to confess to this one, but how often is it that you confess to going into a conversation or a conflict with an internal commitment that I'm not going to be okay, I'm going to be fine, but I'm shooting for you to experience a win at the end of this? Most of the time we're going in and we are trying to capture wins ourselves. Does that make sense? Most of the time we're just shooting for the win. And so the goal is for us, the goal is that we experience a win-win. And frankly, when you're going into a conversation and your filter, your mindset is for the other to win. It's not that you're a doormat. It's not that you are codependent, right? Codependent, dependent on the other person to be okay in order for you to be okay. That's not what we're saying. You don't have to be codependent to be going into a conversation desiring for the other person to experience a win at the end of it. We're assuming that you're going into the conversation hoping to experience a win on your part too. Good morning, Kim. Lovely to see you. Good morning, Tracy. Good morning, Michael. Been a long time, bro. Great to have you on here. So let me say this, right? If you're going in with a no losers policy, and that either internally or externally your desire is to help them win, your whole stance will be different. What do you mean, Kev? Like I'll stand differently? Yeah, you might actually stand differently. Instead of standing with your arms, folded this way, or instead of like having your side to them and your legs crossed and your whole body language is like away, you actually might be facing them. You actually might give them your eye contact. You might actually not be, you might actually be a little bit more conscious not to be like serious looking. Like you might actually like give them some nonverbals. How are you, Michael? Good morning. I don't know, right? You bring a different you into the conversation when your desire is to have a win-win. You do. We do. Right? We're more conciliatory. We're not correcting every kind of jot and tittle. We're just let me listen. Let me kind of get the bottom line. We're not as inclined to fight the facts because, by the way, sidebar, Your Honor, the fight or the conflict or the conversation is never about the facts. Never about the facts. Write that in the chat. It's never about the facts. It's about the message that the facts send you. Underneath the facts of every conversation, there's messages being sent to you and you to them. And so let's become intentional about what messages we want to send. Yeah? Make sense? I hope it does. Hope it does, gang. We want to become way more intentional about what messages we are sending to the people in our stories. All right. Next thought. Number 2. It's not just committing to the other person not losing, right? It's not just committing to the other person not losing. And by the way, can I just say, like, you might win. You might win the conversation. You might win the debate. You might win the conflict. You might lose the relationship, or at least where you are in that relationship, like right now. And so I really want to challenge us to be thinking about how important is it for me to win all the time? And is the relationship more important than you winning in the moment, right? In the argument, in the conflict? I don't know. I'm not so sure about what you think about it, right? So let me give you number two. You ready for number two? So somebody go ahead and write in the chat area what number one is, right? For others that may be coming behind you, catching the replay or whatever. But number one is no losers, right? Committed to a no losers policy, right? That's the goal. The scriptures say, hey, as much as lies within you, live at peace with all men and women, okay? As much as lies within you, right? Live at peace with all men, right? There's only so much you can do, but do not underestimate the power of your presence and the power of your perspective going into a conversation with the desire, I want them to come out on the other side with a win. Proverbs would say, hey, agree swiftly with your adversary. Are you calling my spouse my adversary? No, although sometimes you behave like they are. Agree swiftly. So agree where you can agree. Oh my goodness. Say yes where you can. Say yes where you can. And stop believing that the earth hangs in the balance. Or the sun or the moon or the stars, whatever it is, hang in the balance of whether, they get every little minor detail correct or not. That's number one. Number two, pray. Now, you may be in a conversation with somebody who doesn't pray, doesn't believe in praying. Pray anyway. Are you saying like I should do a call an audible in that moment? Look. Sometimes when people know that you're a person of faith, they're going to ask you to pray for them anyway. Sometimes it might not be a bad idea to kind of interject prayer in the middle of the conflict or in a conversation or before you start it. But no, you don't have to audibly pray in every conflict or every conversation. But I'm really suggesting you better be praying in every conflict or every conversation. And there's the potential to go sideways. You better be having this open dialogue between you and your maker, because in every conversation there's three people. There's a person talking, there's a person listening, and there's the third person of the Trinity, the Holy Spirit. Hopefully giving you ears to hear and eyes to see what would be really helpful for you to see and hear. So, pray. Somebody prays. And when you are in a relationship or conversation with somebody who is a believer, who is a follower of Jesus, then I'm going to say, yeah, you pray out loud, because you remind yourself that you need him. You need his perspective. You need him to help you hear what you're supposed to hear and not what's kind of natural or most natural for you to hear, if that makes sense. So, question number 3. That's not really a question. That's actually a comment. Number 3 is heart. Number 3 is heart. What do you mean heart? Number 3 is it's really important, if possible, to share how you feel about the topic or the conflict before you get into the mire and the minutiae of the details of it. But how do I do that? Well, simply by asking them, hey, before we dive into this, how do you feel about the topic? How do I feel about it? How do I feel about talking about it? How do I feel anything anything like emotional. Now let me say this to you. Most people who use the word emotion, a lot of people, myself included, say I feel, and right after they say I feel, they add the word like or as if. And when they add the word like or as if, get ready, because they're not sharing a feeling. They're about to share a belief or perspective. I feel like all you want to do is win all the time. Is that a feeling? That's belief, right? I feel, and they might give you an emotion, and if they do, hallelujah. I feel sad because, and then they're going to give you belief. Because it doesn't matter what I say. So when you share heart, it's actually underneath, again, the surface of the specifics. It's underneath. So when you share heart or emotion, you're looking for 1 to 3 emotional words. 1 to 3 emotional words. That's all you're looking for. 1 to 3. Okay? Because we say 1 to 3 because us lads can get overwhelmed when you give us more than, like, the ladies, man, seems like they got a bag of them and they could just, I feel this, and I feel this, and I feel. And you don't want it to be like a kind of an emotional dump. You want to give them emotional insight. And when you begin like that, you sometimes you well, not sometimes. Like if a person that you're talking to feels sad or angry or frustrated or anxious, frustrated or anxious, which I realized I just said before. Uh, if you care at all about them, like, do you want them to be sad, frustrated, anxious, or confused? And the answer is going to be no, right? And so having kind of how it's affecting, how the situation is affecting them underneath the surface, really helpful. All right. So let me give you the next one, and the next one is number 4, and number 4 is we want to encourage you to brainstorm. Then it's time to brainstorm. Brainstorm what? Brainstorm options. Brainstorm options. And here's the thought. Here's the takeaway thought. The takeaway thought for brainstorming options is this. The brainstorming thought for for trying to accomplish a win-win is this. It's green light thinking. Have at it, plow ahead, green light. No vetting, no shooting down, no, how on earth could that be possible? We're not going to be able to pull that off, etc., 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 right? A lot of times, people don't even feel that it's safe enough to share a suggestion because the moment they share a suggestion, they're just so used to people shooting them down. And when that happens often enough, frequently enough in relationship with you, frankly, they share less. And even when you're asking them for a suggestion, even when you're asking them for an idea, like you have taken away safety. And I'm not talking about physical safety, I'm talking about emotional safety, I'm talking about relational safety, I'm talking about mental safety. And so what we want to do is we want to build that platform back again. And we want to be quick to listen. We want to hurry up and listen. And we want to be slow to speak. And when you're quick to listen and slow to speak, you will be slow to anger, James 1:19. Because when you listen, you learn. And when you're not learning, then I want to encourage you to ask a question. move, but if I ask a question, they'll go on and on and on and on and on. Maybe they will. Maybe they will with you until they believe they don't have to go on and on and on and on and on. Because you're understanding, you're getting them, you're listening. And they don't have to even maybe try and convince themselves that they're important or that their opinion is important, because you continue to consistently send that message to them. I value your perspective. I need your input. I'm a fool if I don't receive it, if I don't ask for it, if I don't really consider it strongly. So I'm asking you to brainstorm, and so often we suggest somewhere between 5 to 10 options on the outcome. And so you will suggest them, and so we're not used to just having our brain like be open and just brainstorming until almost it hurts trying to think of a new possibility, right? So because we normally kind of, well, we normally stop too soon in thinking of possibilities, and we're normally like on guard all the time for people criticizing any possible suggestions. So you want to give yourself permission to be unrealistic in the brainstorming possibilities arena. And we're shooting for a win-win. I'm going to tack on, but how do I know if my win is God's win? And therefore God's will? Well, we'll go there in just a second. But for right now, brainstorm is numero 4. And number 5, I want you to write these in the chat, right? So number 1 is no one loses, right? We may compromise, but nobody loses. Number 2 is you pray. Number 3 is somebody shares emotion, heart, right? When somebody asks you for an emotion, all you want to share is a feeling word, not a perspective or a belief, right? You brainstorm, step number 4, possibilities about coming to a win-win, agreement with each other. And I feel like probably an example would be helpful, right, in the brainstorming section. Okay, so look. You are not sure if you should keep your kid in the school that they're in as they're about to head into middle school. And so you come up with 5 to 10 possibilities about what you could do. Well, number 1, we could not send them to middle school in that school because of the stories that we've heard. Number 1. Number 2, we could pull them out of both schools and homeschool. Number 3, and again, you're not shooting down like that wouldn't work. No, you're not even going there. You're just brainstorming. You're leaving it open. You're kind of team working together to consider possibilities. We could take him or her to a co-op, like a homeschool co-op, where parents get together and different ones who are skilled in certain subjects, teach on that subject. We could do a combo of a homeschool and a school setting where a certain number of days out of the week they go to school and another couple of days out of the week they are at home, experiencing homeschool. We could go ahead and send them to the middle school that's in line for the school that they transition from. Wow, I was almost going to say primary to secondary, which is how we say it in Ireland, but elementary to middle, right? Or elementary to, middle to high. But so we already have like 5 or 6, okay? We could put him in a private school. And then, all right, so let's say you've got between your 5 to 8. Then, number 5 is you evaluate your options. You evaluate your options, number 5. Okay, now here's the deal on evaluating your options, right? When you evaluate your options, you don't immediately now find a gun and shoot down all the options that they gave that you don't like. That's not what we're shooting for in that moment, okay? When you evaluate the options, basically you pick your top two. You pick your top two faves. Pick your top two faves and you move forward with those. Pick your top two faves and you move forward with those. Top two faves, move forward with those is what you're going to do. Okay? And you don't say them really quickly. You know, usually in relationship, there's one stronger and one weaker, or one more dominant and the other a little bit more passive or more compliant, right? They go along to get along. You want to write down your top two. And the reason why you want to write them down is because oftentimes in relationship, there's a lot of people who basically just go along because they don't want to rock the boat. And in order for you to bring the best version of you to the conversation, to the relationship, to the outcome, then they need your perspective. And so you have a look at your numbers, and if you find one that is in agreement, then you move forward with implementing that. Sometimes, I would even argue, most of the time, right out of the gate, there's not agreement on your top two, or one of their top two and one of your top two. And so what we suggest is, when that happens, which is often, you go at it again and you surrender one of your two. You don't surrender both of them because they're your favorites. Why would you give both of them up? You surrender one of your faves, and then you pick another from the list. Now, and don't be too quick to pick the one that you think, or that you remember, one of their two that you remember, just because, again, you're trying to strive for peace. You're wanting to pick one that you're good to go with. So fine, if you're good to go with one of those, awesome. Plow on, but make sure you're ready to implement the one you suggest, okay? So that's how we evaluate the options. Step number 6 is, and I've kind of already said it, you pick one and take action, okay? Or implement. You pick one and you take action on it, is what you do. And when you pick one and you take action on it, sometimes in theory, things sound phenomenal. And when you put them into practice, what would we take it? Oh, I didn't see this, or I didn't think about this, or what. And so sometimes some people say, well, look, we're going to just kind of try this on for a couple of days and just like pretend that that's a decision. And we're going to just pay attention to our emotion, our thoughts, and before we actually then take the next step, right? And sometimes people say, okay, take one day and do that, and then take another day and just think, we're not doing this, and we're going to do this instead, or whatever. So here is what you do when your theory doesn't work out in reality, right? Step number 7. And in step number 7, you revisit your options, and you might pick another top 2 faves. You might pick another top 2 faves in your options, and you might go from there. All right? You might pick another top 2 options, and you go at it again, basically. But it is a really, really good tool, gang, to use when you're struggling to find a way through, and it's just helpful to have a guide, have a path, have a plan. People get overwhelmed oftentimes because there's no plan. This is a tool, a guide, a runway on which to land the plane of trying to have an outcome that you both can be in agreement with, rather than one running roughshod over the other. And I promise you, You may be winning now, but you are losing ultimately in the relationship. And that payday is not a fun payday. And it takes time to rebuild trust, rebuild safety, rebuild or replace beliefs in the other that you actually really do care about their perspective, their thoughts, their input. And so don't wait till then, till it starts crumbling, till on the outside, what? What's the problem? He didn't say anything, but they've left. I just got served. Ah, Kev, relax, will you? No, that's what happens. Or, fine, your spouse may not serve you. They just might stop talking. Is that what you're shooting for? Hope I don't believe it is, right? And so these are tools that can help you get to where you want to get to faster. And one caveat, really, really important, right? If you've listened this long, this is really, really, really important. Make sure when you practice tools, as best you can, you're practicing on a firm foundation, right? Because if you put your trust in the tool's a facilitator. It's not a solve all. No one tool solves all, right? I don't insult my intelligence, Kevin. I'm not. I'm just saying sometimes we can have a tendency to put a little bit too much dependence in some of the tools in our stories rather than in well, let's just say the divine tool maker. So if you've got some stuff, some business, look, none of us have it all sorted. Nobody has it all together. But if you can make sure that you're kind of um, doing your doing the business on you, right? And getting rid of any excess baggage, etc., right? Let all bitterness and wrath and malice and resentment and etc., be gone from you. And you will have so much easier time using these tools. And frankly, you'll have a whole lot more effectiveness because as you're walking your way through them, you're not going to be triggered, etc. But I'm not saying, oh look, then I can't use a tool. We can't use tools because I have too much excess baggage. Don't use it as a cop out, but just hear the caution. Just hear the caution, okay? And be even aware of your sensitivity to being triggered. So, how do you experience a win-win where in your head, if nowhere else, yeah, there's applause, and in your heart there's applause, and together, right? Together, you can have a party, right? Together, it can be a win-win. That's what we're shooting for. We've experienced too many wins and losses. And wins and losses are not possible in relationship. They're not possible. It may fit kind of nicely with my hands together, but in relationship, it doesn't fit. And as the concept of team, you either win or you lose. So go in shooting for a win-win. Tell them, I want to get to where you are. I just need a little bit of help. I want us to be coming out of this on the other side with us both as much as possible, as much as lies within you, live at peace with all men and women. As much as possible, I want us to be on the same page when we come out the other side. To the degree that we are, right? You're not talking about becoming a clone. You're not talking about becoming, thinking the same way they do. Look, I'm from the land of the leprechauns. I'm married to a wonderful woman from the Americas. We do not think the same. We don't even have the same sense of humor. And as for personalities, forget about it, right? There's just a lot of difference. So this is not about you becoming the same. If you become the same as your spouse, one of you is irrelevant. So we're not shooting for irrelevancy. We're shooting for the best of me and the best of them being experienced together in this phenomenal, messy thing called love and relationship. But let it be a beautiful mess. They are responsible for them. You are responsible for you. Bring the best of you together and shoot for win-wins, and you will have a much, much better relationship and many, many, many more outcomes that you can not just live with and tolerate, but you can embrace and be grateful for. I said I would throw in a quick, what about God's will in the mix of this? You know, I believe that God's heart, John 17 talks about, is for unity, that they may be one as we are one, right? And so I want to give you five quick things, right, to consider. The first one is, you know, what are you what are you getting from the scriptures? What are you getting from the word, if anything, right? Is it confirming what's going on in other places, right? What's what truth are you receiving? Let me just say that from the scriptures. I would say this: if it's a big deal, wisdom is found in the multitude of counselors. So what are the people that are your um, wisdom givers, right? That your mentors, someone you trust. What's their take on the subject, right? Godly counsel. Okay. Number three, what are you getting from the circumstances? What are you getting from the circumstances? Some people will just take one of these three, right? Say, oh well, I found this verse in the Word, and it just so fits with what I was thinking. And so I just know God's in it, and we're gonna go with that. Well, hold on now, hold on. Oh no, look, the stars are aligned, Kevin. But I mean, everything is just coming together. And they put all their trust in circumstances. Well, what are your emotions saying? Oh, I just feel a peace. I just have a peace in my heart. And I just know God's in it. Okay, all right, that's wonderful. But don't you dare run off just on emotion. Okay? So we've got what's the word saying? What is godly counsel saying? What's because sometimes people will find the counsel until it's the one that agrees their perspective. So what's godly counsel? What's the word saying? What's counsel saying? What's your emotion saying? What are the circumstances saying? And as you pray, what are you getting? What's what's coming? You see, if you grab hold of something with one finger, you kind of have it's like, it's not really a good grip. When you grab hold of something with your whole hand, you got a better grip. When the storms come, when the winds blow, I'm not letting go of this. You're kind of looking for where's the flag staked in the ground that I can look back to come rain, hail, sleet, snow, or sunshine, where I can say, I believe my Maker showed up for me here. And I don't want to overwhelm you. I don't want to make this legalistic, but I think those five kind of principles in discerning God's will can be really, really helpful. This tool is about how you experience a win-win in relationship, personal or professional. Um, and I think those five thoughts about discerning Father's will in the midst of that can also be really, really helpful for you. Hey, if we can be of support and help to you in addition to these lives, to these check-ins with Kevin, right? We're here, 15 of us, all right? Via phone, via video, via in-office, coaching, counseling, like life coaching, Christian counseling, spiritual direction, debriefing, hourly intensives, and we have some courses. And we even have an academy. So there's, anyway, but if you need help, support, do not go this road alone. We've not been called to do that. My only regret with my counselor is not having started earlier. It's too late for me, Kevin. No, it's not. No, it's not. We've had people come, divorce papers signed, mailed. Crazy, beautiful miracles can happen when you let your Maker in. And sometimes letting him in means letting somebody else in too. So, hey, if this resonated with you, can I just encourage how you, Alison? Thank you for saying hey. If this resonated with you, encouraged you in any way, shape, or form, can I just encourage you to share it? Tell them, have listened to me, Irish brother. Uh, most of us need help in the communication department and the conflict resolution department. And if you have a question, well, what about when they're not interested in winning with me? They're only interested in winning against me. Well, as much as lies within you, the scriptures say, live at peace with all men and women. And I would say, look back at the coaching that we did around the wise, the fool, and the evil, and understand what headspace is the person that you're talking to in. Because really, you can't use a win-win tool unless the other person is interested in accomplishing a win-win with you. This is not the right tool. Where are you watching from? Say hello to me. Don't leave me alone here. And message me if we can be of service to you or yours. Alrighty. And as an extra treat for those of you who've hung on, we are in the middle of a Mother's Day giveaway, which means that if you're a mother and you have yet been to BCI, there's a free session waiting for you. All you have to do is call. All you've got to do is call. And if you're wondering, what's the number? What's the number, Kev? The number is 800 910 5060, extension 1. 800 910 5060. If you're a mom and you've not yet experienced BCI or one of our team, there's a gift here for you of a free session. Yeah, you're welcome. Your name's not coming up, so forgive me, but you are so welcome. You are so welcome. So, and look, if there's a mother in your life, if there's someone who's been a mother to you, then I simply want to encourage you. Let them know. We have a limited number, so encourage them to call sooner rather than later. I don't know. I know I need something. I don't know what I need. Let our team just help you discern what would be best for you. Kevin, you couldn't sort me out in one session. Look, I'm not sorting anybody out. You would be amazed at what God can do through a professional that's trained to care for others and just providing some oxygen, some validation, some confirmation, some correction, some objective perspective. It can be awesome. There's no snag, no tricks, no agenda. We want to bless you. It's a really, really tough time for a lot of people. There's a lot of stress going on, a lot of anxiety, a lot of uncertainty. Let us lead you to the rock that's higher than I. And for today, I better be on my way. So may the favor of our Father be felt by you today. May you know his peace. And if the sun shines wherever you are, when you feel it on your face today, Might you be reminded that you have a Father who loves you more than you will ever know, who delights in you as you are, where you are, and longs to help you walk in the fullness of life that He's come to give to you in your individual life, in your personal relationships, and in your professional life and relationships as well. So if our team at Broken Chains can be a support or help to you and yours, here we have a team specializing in every age group in the family. I don't have any problems, Kevin. Wonderful. Good for you. So then see one of our coaches and let them help you go further faster. I just would love a companion. Wonderful. See one of our spiritual directors. Our spiritual companions that walk with you through different seasons in your life. We're here to help you live free and love well. And that's part of Broken Chains. And in Live, Love, Lead, we're here to help you live fully, love deeply, and lead authentically. So you know where to find us. And hey, if you're still here, join our free um, Facebook group called Live, Love, Lead with Kevin Daly, Daly. There's no I in Daly. All right. Bless you. Take care. God bless. And we will see you down the road. All right. Fel says, cheerio. If you drink tea today, think of your Irish brother.